the Standard Operating Procedure tutorial brought to you by the Organizational Development Unit within the Organizational Development Division here at HCD. In this tutorial, you will learn tools and techniques to draft your own standard operating procedure, as well as clarification around related terms and leaving you with some best practices. Let's get started. So what is a standard operating procedure? Well, a standard operating procedure, also known as an SOP, is a document that provides clear instructions on how employees must go about completing certain processes. It details a process from a designated start point to a designated end point and must include at least the following: the process goal, clear start and end points, roles, also known as key players, preconditions, any technology and systems that are used in the process, and step-by-step instructions. You'll notice in the graphic on this slide that we show a process flow and an SOP as companion documents. The process flow is a visual representation of the process that really only includes the high-level tasks, whereas the SOP really gets into the nitty-gritty of the details and step-by-step instructions. So why use SOPs? Why are they important? Because they allow organizations to systemize and standardize their processes, reduce variation, and keep all team members and stakeholders on the same page. They're also useful for training and onboarding, as well as really thinking through the steps of a process in order to catch gaps and inconsistencies and opportunities for improvement. We also wanted to discuss a few related terms that are sometimes used interchangeably with SOPs, but there are slight differences. Job aids are really the umbrella term for all of the other related terms, because job aids are anything that are designed to reduce avoidable mistakes at work. So everything you see listed on the right, workflow, SOPs, desk manuals, even something as simple as a checklist, can be considered a job aid. The workflow really consists of a set of sequential activities that are necessary to complete a process, and these are usually represented in the form of a process map or flow chart. The SOPs, as we already mentioned, are those step-by-step instructions, usually in a narrative format. And desk manuals are typically everything about an employee's work and workplace. So they tend to contain information about company policies, procedures, and practices, as well as its rules and regulations. We also wanted to differentiate between a few other related terms, what we call the 3 Ps: policy, process, and procedure. Policies are the rules and regulations of your company. These guidelines are used to ensure consistency and compliance throughout your organization. Because policies tend to be broad and general, they really don't tend to change very frequently. A process is a big picture look at everything that needs to be done and presented as a series of tasks, otherwise known as procedures, that lead to an end result. So think of your processes as your roadmaps for what your employees need to do. If the process is the big picture, then the procedure is where you get into the details. Again, SOPs are those step-by-step instructions for each individual task. Since your process is your roadmap, your procedures become the detailed instructions for how to turn the car on, how to put it into drive, how to change lanes, etc. Now it's time to get started drafting your SOP, and we're going to break this down into steps. So the first step is to open the SOP template, which is a part of our SOP Learning Module located within the Continuous Improvement Virtual Toolkit on the Continuous Improvement page on Inside HCD. We will provide a direct link to this page at the end of the tutorial. Step 2. Once you have your SOP template opened, it's time to complete the upper section of that page. It's pretty self-explanatory. The first thing you're going to want to do is insert the title of your process. Next is one of the most important parts of your SOP, the process goal. We need to start with the end in mind. What are we trying to accomplish in this goal? What does success look like? Insert a short but clear 1 to 2 sentence goal statement. Next, a short statement describing your designated start point. Then a short statement describing your designated endpoint. Next is the section where we will list the key players involved, and you'll notice that we say to use titles, not names. This is because people come and go, but the procedures stay the same. So instead of using someone specific's name, use the title instead. For instance, ODU manager or OD specialist. Next, you'll list any preconditions that exist. These are things that must come before or are necessary in order to complete the process. And last, you'll list the technology and systems that are used within the process. Step 3 is all about listing our tasks. So as you see in the graphic, you will list your general tasks and then subtasks, because this is the section where we really get into the details. We want you to approach listing your tasks like you're throwing Post-its on a wall. Anything that you think could be a part of the process, just go ahead and write it down. This is a first pass. You will go back to review the tasks and subtasks and either add, edit, or remove items on the second go around. So as you see, you'll want to add your broad tasks in the area in the blue bar and any sub-steps or subtasks underneath them. Now you're at step 4. Step 4 is really about reviewing the draft like we just mentioned. You'll want to go back and really carry out the steps. Does it make sense? Would someone who has never touched this process before be able to complete the process from start to finish? It's important that you review and audit your procedures regularly. We also want to point you to examples within the department of what a completed SOP looks like. This is a screenshot from the Division of State Financial Assistance, who have their job aids and process maps posted on Inside HCD. We encourage you to visit their page to see examples of completed SOPs. Finally, we would like to leave you with some best practices. As we mentioned, it is very important to test the SOP to ensure that someone who's not familiar with the process can carry it out from start to finish using only the SOP. Remember, the SOP is a living document. It's not meant to be set in stone. And that's why it's important to audit the SOP regularly to ensure that it's current and up to date. With that in mind, we would encourage you to include a version date in the footer of the SOP. Also, keep the SOP in a shareable location where all team members can access it. Another great best practice is to use images, screenshots, and hyperlinks whenever possible. Some people are more visual, and so screenshots can really help them to understand and carry out the process. Hyperlinks can be very helpful to make the SOP really a one-stop shop where you can click to anything that you need to carry out the process. We would also encourage you to consider building out a process map, and we have a process mapping learning module available in the Continuous Improvement Virtual Toolkit as well. Finally, please do not hesitate to contact us if you need extra assistance in drafting your SOP, or if you're interested in having ODU facilitate a process documentation workshop with your team. If interested, please visit the ODU page on Inside HCD to submit an ODU service request form, or you can email us at orgdev@hcd.ca.gov to learn more about any of our services in change management, continuous improvement, or strategic management. Thank you so much for your time, and good luck in drafting your SOPs.